Hello, everybody. David Shuster here. Former Fox News host and current D.C. U.S. Attorney Jeanine Pirro is reportedly the latest Trump administration official the president is considering firing. Pirro has apparently angered Donald Trump because of an abysmal trial record. More on that in a moment. First, Jeanine Pirro clearly seems to be in a prickly mood. She recently erupted on Fox News when talking about handling juveniles in a special system instead of in adult criminal courts.
This nonsense that your prefrontal lobe is not fully developed and therefore you should be able to do armed carjackings. You should be able to torch a vehicle. You should be able to hold up a store, and you should be able to do these teen takeovers. We had shootings. 15-year-old teens, and the bottom line is they go to family court. I can't even touch them. Last night, unrelated to a takeover, we had 16-year-olds involved in armed carjackings and robberies. I can't handle those cases. They're going to go to an ice cream social. This is absurd.
The juvenile justice system is not just mental health support and ice cream socials. And Jeanine Pirro knows this. But in some cities, there has been a rise in juvenile crime, and Pirro is flipping out, demanding that she and other prosecutors have more jurisdiction over teenagers. Pirro is also melting down these days when asked about her trial record in Washington, D.C. of adults. The conviction rate for Pirro's office is about half the national average, as a reporter recently noted to Jeanine Pirro.
Oh, cut it out. Do you know how many convictions we've got? Cut it out. You're in one lane. We have cleaned up this city. Yeah, historic, really? I'll tell you what's historic. What's historic is that I prosecute everything other than 10% of the cases, where the United States attorney before me didn't prosecute 67% of the cases. That's what's historic. I'm willing to take a not guilty. I'm willing to take a no true bill, because I'll take all the crimes and put them in. Thank you.
Off camera, Pirro responded to multiple questions about her lower-than-average conviction rate by declaring hogwash. One former prosecutor who now works in the private sector told CNN that the Department of Justice has lost the jury pool in Washington, D.C. The former prosecutor said that D.C. residents see the Department of Justice is no longer independent from the White House. There's even a large banner of Donald Trump's face that now hangs from the Justice Department headquarters. Grand juries have pushed back as the Department of Justice has moved to try and aggressively prosecute Donald Trump's political enemies. Several grand juries refused to indict a lawyer who threw a Subway sandwich at a federal immigration officer. And Pirro has also failed to secure indictments against Senator Mark Kelly and 5 other former military and intelligence officers serving in Congress. The group produced a video urging members of the military to disobey unlawful orders. More recently, a federal judge blocked subpoenas issued by Jeanine Pirro's office to Fed Reserve Chair Jerome Powell. Pirro erupted at the judge.
By inserting himself and preventing the grand jury from even obtaining, let alone hearing evidence, he has neutered the grand jury's ability to investigate crime. As a result, Jerome Powell today is now bathed in immunity, preventing my office from investigating the Federal Reserve.
The investigation Pirro wants to conduct at the behest of Donald Trump involves alleged construction cost overruns for a new Federal Reserve building in Washington, D.C. But a judge ruled the grand jury subpoenas were an attempt by Pirro's office to intimidate and pressure Powell on administration policy demands. Donald Trump has repeatedly called on Powell's Federal Reserve to slash interest rates, and Trump has denounced Powell as incompetent, crooked, and a fool. The judge ruled the grand jury subpoenas involving building construction for the Federal Reserve were improper. For Jeanine Pirro, it has meant yet another courtroom loss, and there are reports that her explanations to Donald Trump have not gone over very well. And never mind the judge blocking Pirro's grand jury subpoenas of Powell, a Republican senator, Tom Tillis, has been so outraged by Pirro's prosecution efforts that the senator has threatened to block all administration nominees until Pirro's office drops the Powell investigation. Watch Pirro's reaction to a question about that.
Next question.
Can I get your reaction to statements from Senator Tom Tillis, who you know has been blocking and vowed to continue blocking?
Honestly, I don't know and I don't care, and I'll tell you why. I am in a legal lane. All of the rest is white noise. I don't care what they say. I have a job. I have the ability to go into a grand jury. There are questions that the American public and people in D.C. are entitled to know where $1 billion has gone. And that's my focus.
But he is asking for an assurance that the investigation into Powell has ended it. Are you willing to concede?
Did you hear what I just said?
Yeah, but is this...
I just said that this decision will be appealed by the United States Department of Justice. That's the answer to your question.
In other words, instead of cutting her losses in the Powell investigation, Pirro is asking for more. And she's triggering a Republican senator who was threatening to block every Trump administration nominee. What a mess. But that's the length Jeanine Pirro is willing to go to prove her fealty to Donald Trump. Like other Trump officials, Pirro has no shame and seems willing to humiliate herself to prove that she will put Trump's desires above the Constitution, the law, and the courts. Still, as Pam Bondi and Kristi Noem learned recently, even that's not enough to protect one's job security in the Trump administration. When Donald Trump decides you are a loser or you've generated one too many bad headlines, Trump will fire you. And no amount of loyalty to Trump or fealty to his cult can stop the termination. Is Jeanine Pirro the next to be fired or dismissed? The former Fox News host certainly seems anxious as her losing streak with D.C. juries, grand juries, and judges grinds on. Did you know that the big wireless carriers like Verizon and AT&T made over $18 billion in profit last year? How? By overcharging you for unlimited data, most of which you probably aren't even using. But what if you could get paid to use your phone less and only pay for the data you do use? Well, with Noble Mobile, you can. For just $50 a month on their No Bull plan, you get unlimited data, and whatever data you don't use, you get cash back right in your pocket. People who switch to Noble can save an average of $500 to $1,000 a year. It's a no-brainer. And by switching to Noble, you're directly supporting TYT and our mission of bringing you honest, independent news. So give Noble a try and make the switch today. Scan the QR code on the screen now or visit go.tyt.com/plan. That's go.tyt.com/plan. By the way, a former Trump White House lawyer is calling the president insane and says Trump's insanity is to blame for the Iran war and a global economic meltdown.
It's not a surprise that we're in this much trouble. It's not a surprise that given the fact that the cabinet will not invoke the 25th Amendment for a man who is clearly insane. And this war highlights that. And these screeds that come out nightly, at 2 a.m. or 4 a.m. or, whatever time Trump decides to vent, without oversight, it highlights the level of his insanity and depravity.
Check out that video at the link below. I'm David Shuster. Thanks for joining us.